Shvu Tov, everyone. Welcome to Tillis Tells Stories for Saturday night. The title of this week's video is A Sparkling Discussion with the High Priest. I translated it from the book Good Vach by Avram Barash. A young man named Velvel was once traveling home from the house of his father-in-law, Reb Baruch, who lived near Chernobyl. Having heard so much about Rabbi Menachem Nachum, known as the Maggid of Chernobyl, or sometimes as the Meor Nenayim, after the book of Chassidut that he composed, Velvel decided to stop off there and see for himself the wonders which had earned the Maggid, which means preacher, such a reputation. Although he had arrived as a skeptic, it did not take long for Velvel to be enchanted by the intense holiness that permeated Reb Nachum's base Medrash study hall. It was the most exhilarating experience of his life. He found it difficult to tear himself away from the Maggid. His only consolation was that he could return upon his next visit to his father-in-law. In a short time, Velvel was back in Chernobyl, and again was captivated. He was inspired by the prayers, stimulated by the Torah thoughts he heard. In short, Velvel became an ardent chassid of the Maggid of Chernobyl. His father-in-law was less than enthusiastic about Velvel's new mentor. "What is going on with you?" he said. "Why are you becoming so involved with Rabbi Nachum?" he demanded. "I'm supporting you so you could be able to use your days for studying Torah. And instead you're spending your time with this chassid, the Maggid." Confidently, Velvel answered, "My dear father-in-law, there is only one answer I can give you. Come along with me the next time I go and experience for yourself a Shabbat with the Maggid." They arrived in Chernobyl just before Shabbos. After the Shabbat prayers, Velvel looked at his father-in-law expectantly for his reaction. Reb Baruch said, "I'm not impressed. I heard similar praying before." Velvel was disappointed, but was sure his father-in-law would be persuaded after he heard the Maggid recite Kiddush over the wine before the Shabbat evening meal. Much to Velvel's dismay, Reb Baruch remained unimpressed even after the Kiddush, and neither the entrancing Torah songs nor the inspiring Torah words of the Rebbe which followed, helped sway his opinion. After Shabbos, Reb Baruch turned to his son-in-law and told him, "I'm still unconvinced. I see no reason why I should be supporting you to learn when instead you spend your time here with the Maggid. In fact, I shall now go to the Maggid to tell him directly what I think." "I promise to support my son-in-law while he learns," Reb Baruch informed the Meor Nenayim. "But while I have kept my part of the deal, he has let me down. I refuse to support him anymore if he continues in this way. Tell me," he asked Rabbi Nachum, "do you think it is right that so many young men whose parents are supporting them should spend their time here?" Rabbi Nachum smiled at the father-in-law and said to him in response, "Let me tell you a story. During the time of the Beis Hamikdash, the Holy Temple, there lived a man who had never in his life been to Jerusalem. He had always found some excuse not to go. He convinced himself that he could remain at home and still be a good Jew. It was unnecessary, he maintained, to go there, not even to fulfill the mitzvah to appear there on the 3 festivals, Pesach, Shavuot, and Sukkot. Once, when he was already an elderly man, he inadvertently desecrated the Shabbat, for which one is required to offer a sin offering. Now he had no choice but to go up to Jerusalem to present his sacrifice. It turned out to be quite an experience for him. Since he had never been there, he did not know the way, and had to constantly inquire for directions. The people he asked were incredulous. "Do you mean that you've never been to Yerushalayim? How can it be that a man at your age has never been there?" Finally, he reached the city. His excitement grew as the moment approached when he would finally arrive at the Temple Mount and see the Holy Temple. But again, he had no idea how to get there, and had to ask people how to proceed. Again, he had to endure the astonishment of those from whom he asked directions, who exclaimed, "You've never been to the Holy Temple at your age?" He arrived at the Holy Temple and entered the courtyard where the Kohanim were preparing the sacrifices. He was taken aback by the sight. Was this the beautiful Holy Temple he had heard so much about? It looked more like a kitchen. The Kohanim were hurrying around. There was blood dripping everywhere. He had no idea what to do in order to bring a sacrifice, and he was ashamed of his ignorance. He asked to speak with the Kohen Gadol, the high priest, and was led to a man dressed in beautiful, majestic clothing. He had expected to see a saintly old man, and thus was unimpressed by the young man standing before him. He just could not understand what was so special about the holy temple. So he asked the Kohen Gadol, the young Kohen Gadol, what makes this place unique? And what makes you more special than anyone else? Why do people flock to the holy temple 3 times a year? The high priest looked at the old man intently and asked him, why have you come? I sinned unintentionally. Is this the only time you've sinned all these years? Yes, replied the man confidently. Before continuing, the Kohen Gadol gazed down at the stones of his holy, the valuable precious stones of his Choshen Mishpat, whose engraved letters were now illuminated. One of the priestly garments worn by the Kohen Gadol was a breastplate called the Choshen Mishpat, with 12 precious stones upon which were engraved the names of the 12 tribes. Inserted in the breastplate was the Urim V'Tumim, a parchment upon which was written the ineffable name of God, the 4-letter name of God. It was this name which caused letters on the stones to light up, which when arranged through divine inspiration, provided the answer to the question posed to the Kohen Gadol. He faced the man again and asked, what about the time last year when you made a business deal and swore falsely? Oh, yes, admitted the man, I forgot about that. Again examining the holy breastplate, the Kohen Gadol said, what about the time when you were alone and succumbed to temptation? The man now realized that the Kohen Gadol had the ability to recount all the sins he had committed in his lifetime. Please, enough, he begged. Say no more. Now I understand why one has to come to the holy temple 3 times a year. The holiness of this place elevates a person. Had I come here all these years, I probably would not have committed so many sins. When the Maggid completed his story, Reb Baruch was standing in open-mouthed shock. The sins that the Maggid had related were in fact transgressions that he himself had committed. Surprise. When he found his voice, he cried out, Rebbe, don't say any more. I understand now why my son-in-law and your other followers feel a need to come here. Reb Baruch became a loyal chassid of the Maggid and accompanied Velvel every time his son-in-law went to Chernobyl. Let me mention something about the Chernobyl Rebbe, the first Chernobyl Rebbe. He was a disciple of the Baal Shem Tov and senior disciple of the Maggid of Mezrich. He passed away on the 11th of Cheshvan, 1787. It has been said that he was a grandson of Adam Baal Shem, the predecessor of Yisrael Baal Shem Tov. He is the author of Me'or Einayim. Well, the time should come when we can all go to the Beis HaMikdash. I don't know if we'll be able to meet personally with the Kohen Gadol, but I think that the experience will still be 200% satisfying. It should be very, very soon, and not just pronto, ahora.